Hey, what's up, everybody? Coach Tim Springer, Spartan Basketball, here with another car series with a very important lesson. Came actually from a game that we played this Friday, my varsity girls team at Castle Hills. Amazing game. I mean, we went to overtime. In overtime, my girls went down to 4 players. My top 3 players fouled out. And then another player fouled out. We were down to 4 players. We played 4-on-5 for about 3 minutes until one of their girls fouled out, and we were playing 4-on-4, and it was just a battle that went down to the end. I think we won by the game by 4. But there's just so many life lessons from that game that I really want to share. You know, so many times I talk about how much basketball is a reflection of life, and it's just so much the case. I mean, this game was like, and how it's developed within the season has really shown a reflection as to how you got to go about life and what you have to approach and the things you have to think about and prepare yourself for. You know, and I think it started with this. This was our second time playing them. We actually played them last Monday at our house, and we were now going to theirs. And it was a tough battle then too. We didn't go to overtime. We actually won the game by 1, although pretty much controlled the game the majority of the game. However, we knew we had to adjust some things and be prepared for how they were going to change to our point guard, who was our best player, and how we were going to counter their adjustments, which I think that's a lot of life. You're going to go through a situation once, and there's going to be adjustments that need to be made so that you can better succeed. Yes, you may have succeeded one way the first time, but it doesn't mean that it's going to work that way the second time. And that's a lot of what we went just in preparation of the game. As we got to the game, you know, the team we played ended up being way out in the country. I mean, way out in the country. And automatically our girls lost a certain amount of respect for them because they grew up in big San Antonio, and now all of a sudden we're playing the country. And this was a respect they didn't lose before because they were at our house. We didn't know that, and we had to talk about the fact that, look, don't let that perception get to you. You got to stick with what you know is true. You know what's really inside the book and not on that cover. You know, which is kind of what they did. They were judging that book by the cover, even though they knew what was inside the book. And this was a decent team we were playing. Bear with me, we're going around a curve here, changing highways. So that came into play, and then we went in there and we had to execute our adjustments, just like it is when you go through something, you go through it, you make your adjustments, but if you don't execute your adjustments, excuse me, it doesn't make a difference. You're going to fail at that situation. So we did a pretty good job of that. And then, of course, came the adversity. We lost our best player. We lost our best post player. We lost pretty much everybody. We had to adjust to that, and of course they adjusted to that by pressing us. So now we had to not only handle adversity, but the pressure that came from that adversity, and they really tried to get at us. We stayed with it. The best thing that happened was some of my freshmen, who maybe are still kind of struggling to find their spot on the team and where they really find their self-worth, even though they're great defenders, they just don't see that. They stood up. And that's what happens. When leadership goes down, other leadership has to step up, and that's exactly what my 2 freshmen did. I mean, the whole team did a great job before they were on the court, but those 2 really took the ball, brought it up the court, make sure we got a shot, and just did things that I wouldn't say was out of their nature, but just wasn't what they were used to doing because we had other players who played that role for them. So, we stepped up in there. And then there were so many times we came to the huddle and the girls were exhausted, didn't think they had any gas left, and they just drove on. And then they wanted to win as bad as they wanted to breathe. That's a little analogy that I got from Ethan Thomas. You got to check him out, by the way. Powerful guy, powerful speaker. And he talked about the story about this guy was drowning, and he didn't think about success anymore. He just thought about how bad he wanted to breathe, and that's how much we wanted to win. And we had, the funny thing is we had talked about that story, the practice before, because I was trying to encourage them to practice that hard, as if they wanted to win that bad, that they were going to practice hard enough to make sure they had it the next day. And then it all just fell on the line that time out when they all came to me like, Coach, we're trying our best, but we don't have anything left. And I just brought back that story, the lesson of that story, and they went out there and they drove on. And I think it's the motivation you have in place, but I think it's also the preparation you have in place, because they knew that and they understood that feeling, because we'd already worked and trained with that feeling of wanting to win as bad as we want to breathe, that it was able to apply at the right time, at the right moment, give that last little bit of gas they needed to go ahead and be successful. So everything just falls into place. Everything falls into place. Now you look at it as well, this has all set us up for this week, our first district game. We've been through the trouble, we've been through the challenges, we've gotten out of our comfort zones, and I think we are so ready for district. I mean, not that we don't need to improve, but we're ready. We've seen the situations we need to see that I think are going to allow us to have a great amount of success. So I'm really happy with that, really happy to be able to share this message with you, the things we've learned from it. Please leave comments, please leave questions, anything. Just I want to hear your feedback on this. I want to know this is affecting and changing some lives, because it's powerful stuff. Anyways, take care. God bless.